I want to just jump into some sample photos from my first roll of Ferrania P33, which is a brand new black and white film product in the year 2024. At the end, I'll cover more of like how I developed it, answers some questions that you might have if you're about to shoot this film. But I really just want to jump into the photos right now. Right, I'm interested in from the perspective of like thinking about my photography, but pretty specifically, like I bought another roll of this, and I'm interested in, what can I learn from the first roll before shooting the second. This shot, I think it's a cool black and white shot. I don't love it, right? There's not much to love other than to be kind of, it's like, ooh, cool black and white photo. What this really is a test of my focus calibration on my rangefinder. So I focused right here on the bridge of the nose, and that's 100%. This is a 0.58 rangefinder, and I like the results. I'm happy with how my camera focused. It's good to test that every once in a while. It's 25 millimeter lens, which I like that choice here. And I mean, there's not much to complain. I mean, let's not put it that way. It's impressive as a film, right? It's like very fine detail, very fine grain, good exposure. All right, let's keep moving. Right. What drew me to this photo was this interesting shadow on the wall, and then I had this kind of like splattering of light right here, sort of these interesting brick patterns. Oh, and the window was open. I had come to this spot the day before and had decided to not take the picture, and I'm glad I waited. And I focused on this face right there. That's 100%. I've been shooting a lot of double X and tri X lately, and what's standing out to me is just how fine the grain is and how much more fine detail it's resolving. The tones are beautiful. I metered well. I'd say the shadows are a little weak, right? I actually shot this at 200. I mean, I think it still looks good. I can just tell that if I wanted to try to pull more out of that, it's not really there. Now, I took this one because the sun was beaming across the top of the mailbox, and just right. I mean, this is the sun reflecting, boom, and I thought, wow, what a tough thing to try to photograph and to meter for, and to test the lens, and who knows what I'll get. I came in close and I metered basically right here, and I think that was a good strategy. And then I just, I wanted to see what the flare would bring. And it's kind of cool. This is the sonar, which it's hard to get that thing to flare. Kind of a fun shot. I also like I'm a fan of shooting mailboxes. Now I will point out, do you see this little spot right here? Right, I'm at 300%. So this is, but I take that to be a manufacturing defect, right? It's an imperfection in the emulsion. And if I'm wrong about that, like if I'm causing that, okay, but I definitely get less of them with some films. And I did find a fair number of them. I mean, nothing crazy. But I definitely had to do a little more touch-up than average, especially with like compared to Kodak films. I like this one because like it had rained and there's sort of these streaks and then all these just different lines and tones. Yeah, kind of liked how that turned out. And again, there's enough texture here where like, right, film grain basically disappears and sort of just gives things a little more texture. So that turned out. And I would say that was a good exposure too. Again, I don't think I don't think there's much in the shadow for me to pull out. And I think that's part of like Ferrania's the cinema thing, is they're not trying to give you rich shadows with lots of room for you to pull detail out of the shadow, right? That's not really the cinema look that they have. It's more of kind of crushed shadows, right? In cinema, you're more drawn to the midtones and especially the highlights. All right. Focused on the Chevrolet symbol. I wasn't sure what aperture to pick. I went with f4 because I wanted, this is the sonar, I wanted some of the hood to be in focus. Yeah, I think I chose pretty well. And I wanted the wipers to be a little bit in focus too. And the lens kind of needs, you know, to get kind of sharpness out to the edge, you got to stop it down a little bit. And I did want the headlights to be in focus, so I chose well. And yeah, I dig the film looks really good. Now, ortho is orthochromatic. P30 is like pan ortho. It's pretty heavy ortho. This is more just traditional panchromatic. This is the sonar at f2, which has pretty decent center sharpness. Right, so there's 100% focused on the 202. And then the sonar does a really good job of creating soft backgrounds. But you can tell that like it's not, doesn't have a super sharp flat plane, right? This light's not quite maximum sharpness, even though it's basically in the same plane as the 202. But in terms of the film, right, it's excellent. I metered on this mailbox here. Yeah. Now I think a good comparison for the film, which I didn't shoot, would be FP4, right? Ilford's 125. I suspect that, right, this and that would be pretty similar. But with Ferrania, you get the Italian brand and marketing. You have to shoot basically like a Ferrari in your camera. Now here, right, black cat, always tricky. And this is f2 with the sonar. I think I could have given this one more stop of exposure. But it still turned out pretty good. Now this is an important test case for me because, right, taking pictures of my family is basically the most important thing that I do. And I want these window light pictures to work out. And I definitely couldn't have done this with other Ferrania films. They would have been too slow. Right, I would typically lean on XX or Tri-X for or HP5 for this type of shot. This is the 25 millimeter, and I might even be a 30th, maybe a 60th, wide open 2.8 at 200. And it turned out like it is. I can tell I don't have much shadow density, but it was enough. It's not strong enough of performance for me to be like, oh, I could just shoot this inside. But, okay, Amos, he knew that I was working on this role. I mean, look at that belly, right? That's a happy cat. Film's rocking here for sure. Let's come in and see his cute little face. It's pretty cute. Now, I like this one because the sun was hitting him, right? Coming across the bed sheets. 25 millimeters. I'm trying to get a little more of the room. I don't know. I don't like that my clothes are back here. But I like shooting 400 and 200 speed film. But you can definitely I can tell that I could crop aggressively and still be pretty happy with the image. Oh, look at this. Look at this. So I did a stand development, right, and getting a little bit of acuteness on that edge. It's always fun to find that. Oh, this shot. This was sort of a dumb shot. It's a dumb shot. Why did I include this? Well, I have shooting an M6, and this is almost a nightmare for focusing, right? It's like, what do you grab for the finder patch? And also, this was sunshine beaming in my face, so there's all sorts of finder flare. So it's sort of a miracle that I even pulled it off. But the reason I included it is because, again, I want to show this, right? This is the kind of thing that I think is right, I'm just like a sign of a little bit of imperfection in their manufacturing. Right. And that's easy to clean up, right? But just a little. Right, I don't really get those with Kodak films, especially. All right. It's kind of a cool shot. So I came underneath this water tower and I really debated whether or not I wanted to even take a picture. Glad I did. It was tricky to meter for though. Did I choose a good exposure? I think I did. This is a little, would I kind of like a little more here? Right, again, it's like I can just tell that I can't really lift those shadows without sort of making them ugly. So I am sort of concluding that I think if I was going to shoot this film again, I wouldn't rate it at 200. I sort of thought by doing a stand development that I might be able to squeak out a little more speed. Oh, looky here. Right, another little thing. Easy to fix in the digital darkroom. Now, yeah, same water tower, of course. This no trespassing sign is sort of drawing my attention too much. What if yeah, something like that might be better. Yeah. And again, because it's a 120 film and not a 400, which I actually like kind of cropping into 400 too and kind of showing off the film grain. I think it adds a lot. And here, right, let's go into, 200%. That is an attractive grain. Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah, I think I'm going to come back and crop that one. Show the grain off. Get rid of that no trespassing sign. Which... was I trespassing? Okay, here's the water tower from the street. I sort of liked how it's like, I don't know, what's the right word? Ominous, foreboding. Kind of hiding behind those trees is some sort of alien spaceship. The 25mm Zeiss ZM lens is very sharp. I think this is probably 5.6 or something. Right, you can see it's right. The film and the lens are both keeping up with each other and really pretty darn sharp. All right. This was a shot that I'm like, I wouldn't take this if my goal was just to take good photos, but this is a test roll, so just take the shot. And I'm glad I did, because this was in deep shade, right? You can see these are pretty right, there's hard shadows, right? Look at this. And so I didn't know what would happen with this building. And when I took it, I really thought I had underexposed it. I was like, ugh, but I didn't want to waste another frame. But I gotta say, it actually came out. So yeah, this is sort of a win for shooting it at 200. Yeah, it's sort of fun to kind of have this much detail to kind of, inspect your photos, right? It's like, yeah. I know you can do that, better with a fancy digital camera, but it's still pretty good. Now, I liked this one because it looked sort of like the cloud was the smoke coming out of the chimney. And I didn't want to lose the cloud, so I did, right, kind of, I don't want to say underexpose, right, but just sort of stop down a little bit so I knew I wouldn't blow the sky out. Which I gotta say, in all these pictures, I don't think I'm getting anywhere near blowing any highlights out in the film. I think there was a lot more latitude on the high end than I maybe realized. Looks really good. I sort of wish I'd been shooting more FP4 recently so I could have kind of that comparison. But look at that. Ooh. those acutance lines. Now this one was really just a test shot, that this is that deep shade coming from the shadow of the building, and then this is full sun on the brick. I should have metered both sides, but I feel like I'm working with at least 4 stops of difference between these two, the bricks, maybe even 5. And I metered for this side, so this was basically my middle gray, and then I wanted to see if it could hold the highlights on this sunny brick, and it did. So impressive highlight retention. Ferrania says that if you have this film developed at a lab and have them scan it, you might not like your results. They might come back too contrasty, and said, hey, scan them at home. If that happens to you, it may just be the way that labs aren't quite ready to well equipped to scan this. And that just depends on the quality of your lab, right? If you have a good lab, no problems. But it was sort of interesting to look at their marketing material and see how much they are aware of, right, people that are doing all of this at home, like me. Ooh, who is this figure? I actually wanted some of this shadow over here on the right to actually show up a little more. So I think I missed this exposure by about a stop. It's impressive that 25mm lens, I think, right, it's like the amount of depth of field that you have. This negative came out thin. But you can't really tell that. It was hard to know where to focus, right? I think this was sort of dark, so I think I may have been 2.8 or 4 on a 25mm lens, and so it's like, do I focus on this brick or on right here or here? I don't know. I think I focused on somewhere like right here. I guess that's fine. I did kind of want, right, your eye to be drawn to this highlight line as it's coming around the corner. I think it kind of has that. I sort of like the way, like, the floor sort of looks like it's, right, spiraling around or something. Maybe a really boring shot. I don't know. But I sort of like the way the light was coming into the stairway and just, trying to be a little bit like kind of abstract, geometric-y. That looks really good. Looks really good. Yeah, I mean, it's, without just trying to be like, well, is this better than every other film on Earth? I don't know. I mean, but it's plenty good for me to be very excited about shooting it. All right, this, love it or hate it. But right, I'm in the same stairway. I look up and I see sort of this like gross ceiling, and then I just see how all the walls are white, and start seeing the geometry here, and I'm just like, what, take a shot. And also sort of liked how dark this was, right? So you kind of get this sort of interesting, right? But it's hard not to just be like, ugh, what a gross ceiling. So I think it's a little bit of a loss, but it was kind of fun to find the shot. It's also a good little test of grain, right? The P30 was super silver rich, and so much so that when you would hang, like I could hang the negatives and shine a flashlight into them, and it would invert the image and become a positive because of the way the light was hitting the silver, right? And now the dense parts were actually the most reflective. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, you can kind of do that with any black and white film, but with P30, it was so easy. I tried to do that with this and didn't get the effect nearly as pronounced. Maybe because my negatives were a little thinner. So on the second roll, I think I am going to go for more density. This is pretty stained glass, which sometimes shooting stained glass with black and white can be disappointing because, colors, you never, just like, what tone are they going to be? But I sort of wanted to include a little more of the texture of this wall, right? And, this, like, air vent here. And then sort of this interesting, like, inscription on the glass. Max Ingrand, made in France, 1958. Which I'm not in France. This is in Oregon. All right. I don't like this shot. I didn't want to be a creeper because it looks like I'm like taking pictures into people's windows. So I didn't take the time to compose better. But, I saw the shadow and took a quick shot. And I actually cropped in a lot here to get rid of some distracting things on the edge of the frame, which was sort of nice that I had a 120 speed film and could do that. Did I say 120? 160? Oh, okay. We made it to the end of this roll of what I wanted to share. I'll come back to this one. Okay, so what did I learn? I think I'm going to shoot the next one at 160. I don't think I'm going to do stand again. I got a little bit of evenness around the edges, and it doesn't really matter what I try with stand. I always get a little bit of unevenness on one long edge. I don't want to go into detail why I think I'm getting that, but the grain turned out really good, which the developer was, all right, Stephen Schaub's Visual Revolution recommendation of 500 mLs, 2 milliliters of Rodinol, 2 milliliters of HC110 at exactly 68 degrees for 30 minutes with a 4-minute pre-soak. Right, and if I get away from like that one edge that looks uneven and I get more towards the middle, like right here, right, it looks really good. I can't imagine, like, I don't want anything different. So I don't know what that means for what I'll try next. Maybe just, all right, another one of his recommendations was just to do Rodinol 1:25. So I might try that next. I don't know. This looks so good. Do I want to? I do have some FP4. I could compare it to that. But I don't know. And then am I like, right? It's if it's back to being just kind of a normal panchromatic and a 160, right? It's like part of why I liked P30 was that it was like pan-ortho, and right, I actually sort of liked having a slower film for being able to shoot wide open in midday sun. So it's like this isn't a replacement for P30. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's about all I got for you. Some other details I know that, for those of you that are also photographers and you're just sort of interested in the details, right? So P33 that I shot at 200. My lenses were Zeiss 25 and the Zeiss Sonar. There's the developer recipe right there. Shot on a M6.58. The college campus was Lewis and Clark. These were shot yesterday. I'm doing a camera scan with the Veloy EZ35 and Capture 121. And then I will say, right, it's like Film Ferrania's got this like, right, Ferrania's got their marketing down, right, the Italians. They've got it looking like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and right, the packaging is awesome, the canister is awesome. Oh, I was gonna say, and again, thank you, Stephen Schaub, for giving me a heads up on this, is that the film was actually really hard to advance. Not really hard to advance, but it's I don't know if it's thicker or what, but it takes more of a tug. And that mattered less on shooting the roll and more on rewinding. In my M6, it was actually really hard to rewind this all the way to the end. So that's going to be another thing, is I'm going to shoot this in my MP next. And then, like, it's like, all right, look at this video, right? It is sort of aimed at, like, I don't know, me, right? It's like, I shoot Leica. I do all my things at home, right? I don't look like that guy, but I don't want to say sort of, but sort of, right? Or he's even shooting a Leica MP. You know, it's like, oh, they've got me figured out. They're advertising directly to me, you know. Yeah, but this video is hilarious. So at this point, you can, you know, if the sample images are done, but I'm gonna have a little fun poking fun at this video, right? Look how fast it happens. It's like, okay, 9 rolls of film. Okay, open in full sun. Okay, load the camera, right? Fire, 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 fire at the sun. Now I'm in the dark room, and okay, destroy the canister, flip it around. Okay, fixer, 13 minutes of fixer, 13 minutes of something. Okay, put it in the dryer, put it in the freezer. What was that thing? A dryer? Okay, it's like, I don't know. They did better than Leica's recent promotional videos. Like, I could tell this guy's actually a photographer, at least, right? Or at least they've fooled me if he's not. But he has enough like dexterity with what he's doing that I think he's actually a photographer. But yeah, there's some comedic elements to this video. But look at that, it's P33. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna shoot a second roll and be back with that at some point. Take care.